Berman, Booger McFarland, you think you're out of breath doing Christmas shopping? How about this? You commuted to Connecticut 3 times this week. College, pros, you love it.
It's a great thing to be up here, Boom. A tad bit chilly.
Sorry.
But I was enjoying my trip, so I kept coming back.
Well, in the airport, the hi, Burger. I mean, you should see him go through Bradley International Airport. Well, we had some games that were, but we also had some games, especially later, that were a lot of fun. And the good teams, and some of the teams out of it, they're playing like they're not out of it.
Yeah.
Some of the teams out of it, well, you'll see. All right, why don't we start with a team that every week, Minnesota, they're one back of Detroit if they could win at home today against first place Atlanta. Here we go with the Great White North. Falcons trying to snap their month-long losing Aaron Jones. Well, it's certainly a tough visit home for Kirk
White, Tucker, the Bucks continue to run the football, Boom.
And the Buccaneers are 7-6. Atlanta 6-7. If they finish in a tie, Atlanta swept them, but the Bucs have been climbing up on the ladder. They've won 3 in a row. That's the 7th time, Booger, that they've had 400 yards or more of offense, tying Washington for the most. So let's start with now in first place. We didn't say it a week or two ago, and it's a long way to go. We said it on the show. The eyeballs said, look, best in that division playing, that would be Tampa Bay, and they certainly are now. Remember, they beat the Eagles, and they beat the Lions, and they almost beat the Chiefs, but Atlanta swept them. The Bucs, and we saw Mike Evans. Wirfs is back at tackle. Some of the names we know are playing like we know they can.
No doubt, Boom. And you and I talked about this team from a holistic standpoint. Offensively, defensively, they have the most complete team in the division. They can play complementary football. The most complete team in this division. That's why you and I liked this team weeks ago.
Baker turns it over. He turned it over 3 times, but he's played with moxie all year long. I think the Bucs have been on the show. They ran for over 150, I think 6 yards a carry. Atlanta, easy to point fingers at Cousins. I think people do it. This is easy to say, well, it's up. But again, they gave up a lot of yards through the air, and I don't know that he's problem number one. And the big question, and we'll roll it in, well, should they start the rookie? I don't think so. I don't think that would give them their best chance. I know they've lost 4 in a row. What do you think?
I would agree with you, Boom. They don't need to start the rookie, but the reason people are calling for Kirk's job, last 4 games, 4-game losing streak, 0 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He hasn't played well. And I think when you look at their defense, which I think is the bigger problem, when you look at their defense, they can't get after the passer. Last in the National Football League in sacks. They can't get off the field. And so, therefore, they're putting a ton of pressure on Kirk Cousins. He's not delivering, but their defense has to continue to help out. That way the quarterback doesn't do too much. I understand people calling for his job, but let's understand this team is a half a game out of first place. They've lost 4 in a row. You know who lost 4 in a row early in the season? The Buccaneers.
Yes.
So it's a division that's going back and forth. Stick with Kirk Cousins. He gives you the best opportunity to win.
Meanwhile, Minnesota, I mean, a lot of people, they're one behind Detroit, and Detroit has almost been handed the NFC. They haven't won the division yet. They certainly don't look like they're going to lose a game anytime soon, although they play Buffalo next week, and that's another story. And they end with the Vikings. Darnold is a headline. The defense is a headline. And Jefferson, there's some games, we know how good he is. They're pretty complete. They didn't even win a 1-score game this time.
This is to your point, Boom, this is the offense we expected to see. You had Addison, you had Jefferson, both over 100 yards. If you're going to roll coverage to Jefferson, Addison can beat you. Hockenson had almost 50 yards. We know what Aaron Jones can do running the football, and we've seen Sam Darnold at his lowest, throwing 5 picks against the Jags. But today he was at his highest. They just need consistent Sam Darnold because we know what Brian Flores and his defense will do. They will keep teams out of the end zone. They may give us some yards, but they'll keep teams out of the end zone. If they get this offense can compete with anybody on the NFC side with Darnold playing this way.
Even if it's chilly out. Well, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll worry about that later.
It'll get chilly a little later.
You know what team can win whatever the weather is? Lately, the Philadelphia Eagles. They haven't lost in 2 months, and here we go, Eagles. Football.
Playing hard.
But the Philadelphia Eagles, ladies and gentlemen, have won 9 straight games. They're 11-2, and they are for home field on Detroit's derriere as well. Saquon with 124, 16-23. Remember, only 8 have ever rushed for 2,000 in a single season. Another first-place team like Philly is Pittsburgh. By the way, they will play next week. What a cloud had been hanging over their head when Watson was in there. Steelers win 27-14. Russell Wilson, Steelers keep on chugging in first place. They're 10-3.
First of all, going to Cleveland, obviously playing there, a tough environment, a great game. We felt like we could have won that game. Obviously, we took the lead with about 5 minutes to go, whatever it was. We got the ball back with 4 minutes to go, and we feel like as an offense, we got to close that out. Unfortunately, we didn't. This time we were able to. We were able to respond in a great way in the second half and close out the game. And I think our defense responded in a great way. So, anytime you're playing a division rival, especially within 12 days or whatever it is, it's always challenging because they know you and you know them. But it also makes it fun, especially when you're on the winning column.
21 straight regular season wins for Pittsburgh at home against Cleveland. Cleveland with Baker won a wild card game. That was in the COVID year, right? But that's Mike Tomlin was not going to get swept by not this team. You know what hits me with Pittsburgh?
What's that?
Usually it's, will they get in the playoffs? Will they have a late run? Will Mike Tomlin be over 500? They've been on front and center for 4 months, and they're both sides of the ball, reason why.
And no doubt, Boom. And again, we continue to go back to the move when they made at quarterback, naming Russell Wilson the starting quarterback. It allowed them to play complementary football. Today, more runs than passes. 35 runs, 26 passes. We're going to play Steeler football, all right? We're going to run the football. We're not going to allow the quarterback to throw the ball 50 times. Defensively, they got rushers, Boom. They got Highsmith back. Didn't want him in Denver. They said he couldn't fit the system. They have a system built for him, very similar to Seattle in Pittsburgh. We're going to run the football, play action, use your legs just a little bit, keep the chains moving, and this is Steeler football. Steeler football almost reminds you of Seahawk football a little bit.
Well, a little bit. That's a good segue.
Exactly.
But I do want to say this too. I think it's the 7th game the Steelers have forced 3 turnovers or more. That would be Steeler football.
Yes.
That certainly would be Steeler football. Did we not talk the Eagles yet? No, we're going to. So the Eagles, now they are rolling, right?
Yeah.
And they have. Look, today they struggled against Carolina. They're not going to crush everybody, but Philly. Let's start with the offensive line and go to the defensive line. When you control both sides, I like your chances.
No doubt. It's the best offensive line or one up there in football, but the defensive line has made the biggest jump. Vic Fangio comes in, and you look at what they have in the middle. Jordan Davis, big dude, didn't always play up to his level. Jalen Carter, another big guy to Georgia, didn't play up to his level. This year, under Vic Fangio, Boom, Jalen Carter's playing at an all-pro level. You see Jordan Davis going sideline to sideline. And when big people run and we're athletic and we hustle, now the entire defense
That's a good point.
that. And you're starting to see the defense swarm. They're playing better. Barkley is in the MVP conversation. Hurts only completed 14 passes today.
His numbers are never, quote, going to jump off the page.
And we know what Brown and the Slim Reaper can do. Like, they haven't exploded yet. So they're just biding their time right now. But I love what I'm seeing from the young defensive tackles, Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter. If they play at that level, that defense will be dominant. Two
new coordinators, one new running back week ago. By the way, I saw you run in the studio. I came right behind you, man. I was ready to go. Hey, so this is a surprise to a lot of people. Set up a 1-score, 2-score, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
The Seahawks spot them an early touchdown, and they win 30-18. The Seattle Seahawks started the year 3-0. Then they lost the punch. Since their bye, they've won all 4 games. Geno Smith and company.
Play as a team, and complementary football is the main thing. And I thought just the way that, we came out on offense right after they scored, got points, wanted to score a touchdown there, but ended up getting 3. Then we go right back. Defense goes out, get a turnover. We go get 7. They get another turnover. We, make it a 2-score game. Those are the things that you need in order to gain momentum and to really close these games out, and down the stretch here.
Disappointing loss, didn't play our best ball there. I got to find some answers to get us going a little bit because we haven't played great here the last couple weeks. So that falls on me. So got to go back to the drawing board tomorrow, get these things corrected, put them in better position, and we got to win a game.
Now you saw it 7 in a row. Seattle, pity because they know you're not going to give it to them. So the Niners look like it's supposed to look. They play the Rams at home on Thursday night. They win it 38-13. So the San Francisco 49ers, they had lost 3 in a row, but they bounced back big time, and the Chicago Bears have lost 7 straight. Let's start San Francisco. We'll get to Seattle and Arizona. Look, I don't know if there's enough time, although no one is running away with this division. Seattle in first at 8-5. But if the 49ers can win that game, which they did, and they win on Thursday, if they can, against the Rams, which will be a really good game, get to 7-7 and look around. Are they feeling the toll of all the 20 games they played in the last 5 or 6 years? Yeah, but no one is 11-1 in their division. Possible.
It's very possible. And you know, anytime you have a Kyle Shanahan team, this team is going to continue to fight. What they're asking now with no Mason, no McCaffrey, no Brandon Ayuk, they're asking the quarterback, Brock Purdy, can you carry this team? He did today, Boom. He played his best game of the season, I thought. He was efficient. He moved the football around. He got George Kittle involved. And when George Kittle gets be able to do that, get to 7-7, and then look around. Because they know they can beat anybody in that division.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the other teams, the Rams, Cardinals, Seahawks, they can beat any of those. Are they going to be healthy enough? And can the quarterback continue to be consistent enough? Because he's got to carry all those guys that are there.
Well, the guys that are there know how to win.
They do, yes.
Let's not forget.
Yes.
Now, the Seattle Seahawks, we told you they won 3, they were 3-0, and then they lost it. Since the bye, they're 4-0. We can read a couple offensive numbers, but I want to go to the other side of the ball.
Yes.
First of all, they ran for 176. Seahawks? That's their high this year. Geno was 24 of 30, okay, for 233. But the defense. Mike McDonald got the head coaching job really because of defensive wizardry with Baltimore and Michigan a little bit, but Baltimore, the system, they've changed middle linebacker a couple of times. By the way, they've changed their center. They changed returners on this day. Yeah. But what they have now, with the way Leonard Williams is playing, they have a defensive system with strong defensive backs, but up front there's a guy you have to keep track of if you're an opponent. Leonard Williams, we can't let him wreck the game. What does that do for the rest of the defenders, you other 10 guys?
It's a table setter, Boom. Like we used to always talk about the Warren Sapps of the world, the Aaron Donalds of the world, the Chris Joneses of the world. They set the table because if you have to put 2 on those guys, that means somebody else is free. And now those other guys have one-on-one matchups and they can go dominate. But you have to have somebody on your team that commands 2. Think about the Steelers. T.J. Watt has to command 2. The Browns, Myles Garrett commands 2. The great defenses always have one guy that you have to double team. And Leonard Williams is that guy. And when he plays at this level, Boom, don't forget it, he's not a young guy. He's been doing this for a long time. The fact that now he's back on the scene is good for Seattle because those DBs on the back end, Witherspoon, Tariq Warren, if the ball comes out, they can go get it, Boom.
Yeah, they can. They're tough back there.
Yes.
Next 2 games for Seattle at home, Green Bay and Minnesota. So we'll get a good litmus test on where they really are. Well, where they are in first place. Now, the Buffalo Bills, who've been on a roll at L.A. the week before they play Detroit, with the first regular season December or January game for the Bills that they've lost in the last 15. After the game, our Lindsay Theory with Cooper Kupp.
You guys are very much alive in this tight NFC West race. How do you turn around quickly, get ready for Thursday night in San Francisco?
Yeah, it's been the same approach we've taken all along, just 1 week at a time. You know, we don't get too far ahead here. Just knowing that there's all these implications, all these things, all we can control is this week. So, you know, to be able to turn our bodies over, get ready for a division rival up there in Northern California.
Hate losing. If you lose by 2, you lose by 100, it don't matter. You're still losing. And offensively, we got to find ways to score before the half and score after the half. So we didn't do our part either.
If you thought that game looked like fun, Booger, first game in NFL history, Darren fired this over to me.
Okay.
Or it could have been Aeneas, both of these guys. First game in NFL history where 2 teams scored 40 points and had no turnovers.
Yeah.
That would be, and by the way, Cooper Kupp looked like he had his hockey playoff beard on, ready to go. So, L.A., when they look like this, when they sliced and diced Minnesota on that Thursday, they don't look like this every week. But when they do offensively, it's almost impossible to stop. We saw that today.
And here's the reason why. 2 reasons. Number 1, Sean McVay, the head coach, may be the best offensive play caller in football. And when he gets a defense on their heels, he can absolutely shred them. And 2, Matt, this was vintage. We've been talking about wine and French wine today. This was vintage Matthew Stafford. This is going back, grabbing a bottle from like 1895, Matthew Stafford. It was absolutely unreal, Boom, because his accuracy with the football, the play calling, he was throwing it sidearm like Darren O'Day of the Orioles, Boom, just dropping that thing in the slot.
Very good.
And when their offense can play this way, they run the football with Kyron Williams. they're going to score points. It all comes down to when and if their defense can get stops. They're so young on defense. They're a little inconsistent. But this offense, when McVay's called in plays, look out.
Big game, Matthew Stafford?
Yes.
He could play for me anytime in any condition, and so the Rams win it. They're 7-6, one behind the Seahawks. By the way, if you're looking way ahead, they play the last game of the season, and the Rams beat them earlier. There's Josh Allen, second player in NFL history with 3 passing touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns. Otto Graham, 1954 NFL championship game. Josh, that's quite a club that you're. I would not be. The Bills. What's wrong with their defense? They ran into a buzzsaw. Look, they play Detroit next week. No way they were looking past the Rams. They scored over 30 for the 7th straight game. Yeah. This is. They have their head down because they lost. I didn't see an unbelievable. This is a problem long term. Did you?
I didn't see anything that I'm concerned about. This is still a very good football team. Josh Allen, I think, is in a battle for the MVP with Saquon Barkley and Lamar Jackson. The one thing that might give me just a smidgen of pause defensively, they're going to have to figure out a way to continue to rush the passer.
They're not there yet. Vaughn Miller is not 5 sacks a game yet.
Correct. Like they got to get consistent pass rush because they aren't great. They're not great on the back end. They're not great.
Young.
They're young. DeMar Hamlin is giving them a veteran some savviness back there, but they're not that dominant when they had Poyer and Hyde and Tre'Davious White. They're not that anymore. So they need pass rush, and they're not quite getting what they need.
They're used to being up by a couple scores, and they can easier rush the passer than when you're down by 17.
No question.
It's funny how that works. Otto Graham knew that in 1954. I mean, that's the way it works. Then there were some other games. Actually, Jets-Dolphins was fun. 2 teams are 6-7. It ain't snow. It ain't cold. They win. The Jets were 2-1. They're now 3-10. Both Tua and at the divisional game. Yeah. The Jags snap a 5-game losing streak. Tennessee, they both fall to 3-10. And then there were the Saints. I remember. The Aints. The Giants are the Ints. I guess they still have not won a home game all year, and they have lost 8 straight. Woo! See? Every week is fun.
It is.
And we hope you have fun watching NFL Primetime for Booger. I'm trying to get my name right. Booger Boomer. See you next